Okay, hello everybody. This is episode 3 of It's All Interconnected. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes because we're talking about a lot of things that I am extremely interested in. If you have not watched this before, my name is Steven. No! No! My name is. My name is. No! Okay, whoever was watching this definitely just laughed.
Then I guess
Um,
my name is Alex.
okay, my name is Alex. My co-host is Steven. We are two college students trying to do activism the only way that we know how. Okay, so this is a podcast where we talk about all things sociology, criminology, peace and justice with a focus on systemic racism. So today's episode is gonna be fun. I'm gonna do like a whole thing. So in this episode, I have that we're gonna talk about. Let's see. Social bonds theory, cumulative disadvantage, CPTSD prevalence in minority communities, racism and ableism within the mental health system, and the school to prison pipeline. All of that is going to be in order because I'm going to phrase it in a way that it makes sense. It's kind of like a building on things. Like, first you need to understand cumulative disadvantage, then you have to understand, like, it kind of goes in order. So, I want to start by discussing something called cumulative disadvantage. So, essentially, cumulative disadvantage is a theory that states that disadvantages build up over a person's life, leading to greater inequality over time, and reinforces their initial disadvantages. So, an example of this is literally any person of color. Like, because the system is set up to fail people of color, and so they have those disadvantages to start with, and then all the systemic failures they experience are other disadvantages, which then reinforce the original disadvantage of them being a person of color. So it's kind of every single thing that a bad thing that a person of color has been through because they are a person of color, all of that constitutes their cumulative disadvantage. So this can be things like systemic failure, overt racism, discrimination, like just things that they suffer with in ways that they are treated differently and treated negatively because of their racial identity or economic identity or really any minority identity. Um, Cumulative disadvantage can occur. Um, so we know that cumulative disadvantage is very, very high in majority black communities that are generally low income. And so essentially this is kind of, wait, give me a minute. So then we have cumulative disadvantage, right? We have that horrible thing that they experience, which is very traumatizing. Cumulative disadvantage is traumatizing. It is years and years and years of being mistreated and beaten down for a factor of your identity that you cannot control. And so this develops a lot of the time into something called PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. But oftentimes, because the trauma of this is chronic, it develops into something called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And the difference between these two things is post-traumatic stress disorder by itself is essentially a whole slew of trauma response symptoms that occur from just one event. And they have to be present for a month after the event, like longer than a month. Before that, it's adjustment disorder, but that's a whole other thing. Or no, it's acute stress disorder. And so then CPTSD is those similar trauma symptoms plus more because it's worse. And it's caused by repetitive trauma that happens multiple times over time. So happens in situations like repetitive abuse, repetitive natural disasters, war, repetitive bullying. This is kind of where we see that come up. So in the psych field, it's kind of very speculated that there is a higher prevalence of CPTSD than PTSD. Because if you go through one trauma, you're going to be a lot more likely to go through another. So my argument is that there is a colossal underreporting and underdiagnosing and misdiagnosing of complex post-traumatic stress disorder in minority communities because people don't recognize cumulative disadvantage as trauma. So we have, you know, these children who are experiencing all of this trauma based on their race and their economic identity or just any minority identity. And then you combine that with the fact that in these communities, the schools that these children are attending are extremely underfunded. I've discussed this before. They do not have the school psychologists, the social workers, the guidance counselors who know how to deal with trauma responses, whether they are internalizing or externalizing. And so you have a child who is dealing with racism constantly, and then you put them in a school system that does not know how to handle their issues or the consequences of what they're dealing with. And then when you combine that with potential weakening of social bonds, for example, like parental incarceration, all of those three things combined are a one-way ticket for that child to enter the incarceration system. So let's consider this. Let's consider a child who is black and from a low-income area, and they experience a lot of racism, whether in school or like just in the community. They experience a lot of racism constantly. And then in school, on top of experiencing that racism, they have teachers who do not know how to handle their trauma response of experiencing that racism, and then they get further punished for displaying trauma responses. And then let's say that while this is happening, this child's parent gets incarcerated with no warning. That is a severing of a social bond. And therefore, that child is now 7 times more likely to enter the incarceration system than before. And so, all of those things kind of need to be happening for that child to, like, be at risk of entering the incarceration system. And that's kind of how, you know, the preschool to prison pipeline works. That child faces cumulative disadvantage at home and at school and in the community. The school is not handled to the school is not equipped to handle the consequences of that trauma, right? And we know that like children of color are more likely to be punished for things that a white kid would get a slap on the wrist for. And so they are more likely to be punished for those trauma responses that they are displaying, whatever they may be. And then that leads to potentially a lot of suspensions and just a really shitty like school record. It can even lead to expulsion in some cases. And so then that leads to further social isolation, right? And then severing of social bonds leads to more isolation. And so that child has no one to turn to, nowhere to go, and no one to help them. And especially if they're in an economically disadvantaged situation, like, it makes sense why they would turn to delinquency. A lot of the time, when we see these teenagers, these black teenagers engaging in delinquent behavior, a lot of people are like, oh, they're violent, they're dangerous, they need to be locked up. It's like, no. Did you ever fucking consider that maybe these children, because they are children, did you ever consider that these children are doing these delinquent things because that's all they know how to do to survive and that's all that they know? Did you ever consider that? Like, if you lived in that kind of a neighborhood and you had absolutely no support and there was peer pressure going on and you didn't know, you couldn't turn to anybody else, and you're drowning in a system that is designed to kill you, of course you're gonna, you know, perhaps try to do like illegal things to survive. Like, it's like, I would argue that a lot of it is just a trauma response, but people see them as violent because they are black. And I feel like people are gonna be like, oh, well, they should just go to therapy. Yeah, don't do that. Because, well, I mean, you should if you have access to therapy, but I'm saying, like, the mental health system is built on racism, as is everything. And we know this because black men are, I believe, 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with a schizospectrum disorder, even if they don't meet the criteria for such. So let's say a black man comes in to a psychiatrist's office and he meets the criteria for something like bipolar disorder. It is likely that the psychiatrist, compared to if it was a white man walking in, it is likely that a psychiatrist is going to diagnose him with schizophrenia because white people see black people a lot of the time as violent and dangerous and crazy, and so of course if a black man walks in front of you and you have that prejudice about him and he's talking about these mental health symptoms he's experiencing that are actually a manic episode, the psychiatrist is probably going to think schizophrenia or schizoaffective, therefore misdiagnosing and giving a medication that is not going to help him. So the mental health system is very, 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 very racist. So people who are like, oh, they should get therapy. One, they probably can't pay for it because of the situation that they're in. Therapy is very expensive. It's also both on classism, surprise, surprise. And two, like what I just said about the racism. So if a black kid did go to therapy and try to talk about the racism he's experienced, especially if he has a white therapist, that's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be beneficial. So the solution is not for them to get there. The solution is to fix the issues that the system is causing. The system is designed for these children to fail. They want these children to go to jail so that they can for two reasons. One, it'll reinforce the white supremacists believe that black people are dangerous because so many of them are incarcerated. And two, felons cannot vote. The majority of the incarcerated black population is on felony charges. The reason why they lock them up is so that when they get out, they cannot vote and cannot contribute to a democracy. Sit with that for a second. It's all intentional. Everything that the system does is intentional. And this is a fraction of what the black community has to go through. They experience so much cumulative disadvantage. It is disgusting and abhorrent and repulsive. And it's just, once you start seeing this shit, you cannot unsee it. And even though I know a lot about this, there's still things that I learn that just every day that just blow my mind. Like, I'm nowhere near done learning about this. And I would say that I'm fairly educated regarding these issues. So it's just like a massive mind fuck, this whole topic, but that's my spiel.
There's a name for that, by the way. It's called oppressive uh, oppressive realization shock, because like when you realize the oppression, you're in shock. But anyway, I wanted to backtrack because like people said some things, and also I so about the what was the original thing you said about the compounding thing? But what was it called?
Huh? Oh, cumulative
The
disadvantage.
Yeah, I learned it as compounding disadvantagement. So I knew a different
It's
name for
like
that.
the same thing, pretty much.
Yeah, no, it is. It's exactly the same thing. But I'm glad that you brought that up. Also, in chat, Alan brought up a great point. He said, wouldn't people with disabilities be a good example of people who have this? Because they're disadvantaged, they don't receive support in school, they might not be able to get medical support based on income, and this continues, it keeps piling on as they go through life. And because of these effects and discrimination, it all builds up. And then there's discrimination within the hiring process, and so on and so on. And it keeps going on throughout their lives. And as someone who also is disabled, I can very much confirm that. Because so Alex just talking about how expensive therapy is. To give you context, I'm white and I can't afford therapy. Like that's how outrageously unaffordable it is. Um and so yeah, no, when you have disabilities, when you're not able to get that support, I mean, I was lucky enough to like be able to get a little bit of medical support, but like I'm assuming black people with disabilities would not even have that opportunity. So like when you like have all these things wrong with you and you don't even know what it is, and then in school like nobody's listening to you because you don't have a diagnosis, and uh and then like everybody's just like assuming that you're just like this weird violent person, and then like I'm sure that it just keeps tagging on, and it that must be awful. And like as someone who like admittedly has the privilege of being white, like I experienced at least some of that, and it feels suffocating. It feels like you're drowning in stuff, so like that's this is I'm trying to give a glimpse into like how this thing operates like within a different minority, and then going on to like what you were saying about black people and therapy, Micah said there's also the fact that therapists, uh, there's also the fact that therapists who see black people usually think that they are looking for pills or drugs, and that's something that I don't think either of us even considered,
Right.
because like I'm sure that's like a very common thing. So like you're a black person and you like somehow manage to scrounge some money together to see someone in therapy, and they just assume you're a druggie, and like like what? How, then you got no help, and then you're out all that money. So like, how are you supposed to win
You can't.
if
That's the point.
everybody in every turn is what?
You can't. That's the point. That's how the system
No,
works.
I know this. Like I'm trying to highlight that. Yeah, and um,
As a disabled
so you brought up good points.
as a disabled person, I can also attest to what Stephen and Alan are saying. I think that being disabled comes with so much cumulative disadvantage. Like there's just so much. There's like especially like another point you didn't mention is like ostracism between like other students. Like especially like if you're neurodivergent, like if you're autistic, or really not even just any disability, whether you're like in a wheelchair, you're visually impaired, or you're autistic, or whatever. Like you, other children notice that, and so these children who are neurodivergent, they are being ostracized since the age of like 5 for a lot of kids, and we can detect that. Children know intuitively when other children do not like them. So a lot of disabled children, from as young as like 5 years old all the way up to like I guess whenever they leave high school, for a lot of kids, like they're just like continuously ostracized and bullied in some cases and beaten down, and like that is formative in a very very negative way. So it's I fully agree. I can attest to what you're saying.
Oh wait, someone's like what are they saying? Oh,
You can
okay. That's a good point. What?
go ahead.
Sorry. No, that's a good point too. And like I said, intersectional people are especially primed to be a victim of that. Replying to Alan, meaning the compounded thing, and that's a great point because like if you have multiple identities, obviously you're gonna like experience multiple forms of discrimination.
Right. It just that when you're intersectional, you experience cumulative disadvantage from multiple identities. So if you're black, trans, and low income, you're going to experience cumulative disadvantage from being trans, black, and low income all separately, or they can intertwine. So it's like if you're intersectional, you're kind of like double, triple fucked, sometimes quadruple fucked if you have a lot of minority identities. So, like for example, we have a friend who is Daryl, who is black, low income, Jewish, and disabled. He's very, 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 very multi intersectional. So he experiences cumulative disadvantage from all of those aspects. That's kind of an example of that.
That sorry, I didn't know what else to say. I didn't know if you want to say anymore. No, that is that's a great like thank yeah you did a great job exemplifying that because I didn't know what else to say to that. I was just highlighting what he said and but yeah so what did he say? Oh, Charles said he mentioned me.
He
Um,
did.
why? So, do you see? And also, you did a great job with the social bonds thing. I didn't know what that was until now. So, thank you for explaining that so well. Um, so do you want to? What was the next thing? So, do you want to use this? Continue on to the next thing?
So I kind of covered everything in that entire spiel. I expected it to take longer. It did not.
Oh, oops. Well, I didn't want to interrupt because you were doing so good.
Thank you. Is there anything that like you want to
Do you?
talk about?
Um, you. I think you already talked about social disorganization theory. I don't know.
Did we talk about redlining? I think we did already.
I think we did a little bit. I think I don't know how much in detail we went there.
I think we did because after we got back from Philly, I think we did a podcast episode and we talked
Oh,
about
I
it.
remember that. Oh, sorry. You should talk about the prison. Mike said you should talk about the prison industrial complex. Sorry. Um. So the prison industrial complex. That's a good. That could be a good thing to move into since you were just talking about how the school school this prison pipeline like funnels you into prison. So I think it's probably a good thing to talk about like how prisons are and like how black people are treated in prison and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, we can go into that. Should we do just the prison industrial, or should we do the CJS as a whole?
Oh yeah, no, that would give us more to talk about. So yeah, let's do the CS C
CJS.
C C
Hmm.
CJS.
CJS stands for Criminal Justice System, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. So I'm going to talk about the police aspect. So I think I might have already said this on a previous episode, but I don't care if I'm saying it again. Police are more likely to approach a. The research shows this. Police are more likely to approach a black person with aggression immediately, whereas with a white person, they will approach the interaction with neutrality, and then they'll escalate to aggression if necessary. So the police officer goes into this interaction with this black individual already assuming that they have done something wrong, even if they haven't. And so even if like the black person is kind of like okay, like is kind of like agreeable, and he's like okay, like I'll do whatever you need me to do. The police officer, he's a racist piece of shit. He's still gonna be aggressive, and then that's gonna be traumatizing for the black individual. But if they resist, they will get charged with resisting arrest, probably a lot faster and a lot quicker than a white person would. And so,
Uh, what?
what?
No, I didn't know you had more to say. I was gonna add on to that.
And then,
You.
so then they enter the court system, right? They are significantly less likely to get out on bail. They're less likely, they're more likely to receive a higher sentence. They are less likely to receive adequate legal representation, right? So they're fucked in the court. And then they enter the incarceration system where they're, again, treated like shit. They're more likely to be, depending on the crime, they're more likely. Did you know? Okay, so we're gonna go dark here. Assuming that a black. So, okay, wait. Let's assume that somebody. Wait, give me a second. Let's assume that a black guy killed somebody, right? And or multiple people. Who knows? Just some sort of homicide crime, and he gets a death penalty. Now, I cannot fucking talk. I'm fucking this up. Like, I had this statistic in my head, and it's really powerful, but I can't get it out of my mouth. I'm trying to say like, what the fuck? Let me write it out. I can't speak right now. Hold on. You can add on to what I said while I'm writing this out, if you want.
I was gonna do that. So I was gonna add on is the yeah no that I was gonna add on that you had a good point with the like inadequate legal representation and stuff like that. Like yeah uh and also I was gonna add on that this is why reform within the police is necessary because like this is like this is actively harming people of color and yeah it's a really complex issue and it's a lot it's definitely a lot to talk about.
Okay. I have two statistics. The one that I was trying to say was that if a black man kills somebody, he is 11 times more likely to be given the death penalty if their victim is white versus if the victim is black, which says a lot.
That's crazy.
And the second statistic is
Wow.
that 1 in 3 black men aged 18 to 30 are in the incarceration system. And I also wanted to talk about how when black people are significantly more likely to experience disproportionately higher rates of recidivism, which is essentially re-entering into the prison system after getting out the first time, because when they get out, they're not given stable housing because they're on a felony charge. They cannot find jobs because they can't find jobs, so then they can't find housing. So, of course, they're probably going to resort to doing something illegal to make that money because they're trying to, live. So let's say that this is, a lot of the time it's drugs, and this is with black mothers too, not just black fathers, or just black men or black women. And so, a lot of the time they will go back to prison on a substance abuse charge or a drug charge, and then the cycle repeats itself. He's in prison for life. Because the resources that help people in this situation are very few and far between. So even after a black individual leaves the incarceration system, it's far from over. It really is.
I have a statistic of my own. So I I don't know if everyone watching this knows what parole is, but like it's like when you get get out early for good behavior. It's usually for like not crime not violent crimes. And I just looked it up. Apparently, parole board, because you need to like go in front of like a board and like say why you should get out. But so parole boards are 48% less likely to let out a black individual, regardless of like even if they have like or like the picture perfect inmate and did a non-violent crime. Like they're 48% less likely to release a black person over a white person.
Wow. Oh, my girlfriend was showing me something yesterday. She showed me a video where it was a video of this black guy, and he was in court. He was a burn victim, and he lost one of his hands, so he just didn't have a hand. That his other hand was completely paralyzed. And the court tried to frame him, like, to accuse him of doing a shooting, and he literally said, "Your Honor, one of my hands is gone. The other hand is completely paralyzed. I cannot even hold, let alone shoot a gun." And they still got him in trouble for it, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was really just,
How is it? What?
yeah.
If you can't even hold a gun, how does that? How do you get in trouble for that? That's
Was it
crazy.
because he was black? Probably.
No, I'm
Indubitably,
assuming
dare I
that, but
say.
like it just like that's insane. Wow. And then there's also the aspect of for-profit prisons
Mm,
where they basically just like work you like a slave so that they can get profits.
I don't know a whole lot about those. I need to look into it, but yeah, those are really bad.
Um, I don't know.
Someone's typing something. She's talking
You
about
talk about
laws that
laws that
specifically target black people.
oh no, I know what he's talking about. Okay, because so you know how like outside of stores will have like signs that says no loitering,
Yeah.
or like they'll have like or like at parks they'll have like weird rules like don't be on the grass or like stuff like really stupid things. Those are laws specifically designed so that like they can punish black people. Like they can give them fines or they can arrest them. The I there might be a name for this. I don't know exactly what it is, but like whenever you see like ru- signs for rules that don't make sense, that's literally what that is. It's trying to like have every opportunity possible to criminalize black people. This as well as um this as well as traffic stops. It's been proven time and time again, especially with our current technology, speeding cameras and just like traffic cameras in general are significantly more capable of of catching traffic violations opposed to like just cops roaming around. But the traffic cameras can't brutalize or imprison black people. So that's why they keep cops roaming around. So that they can target black people and pull them over.
Oh my god, I actually didn't know that. See, this is what I mean. You learn something new every time.
That as well as also traffic cameras don't discriminate. They'll ticket anybody regardless of race, but cops can. So that as well.
Right. I also want to talk about over policing, specifically in low SES majority black communities. Research shows that over policing and having more police on the ground is actually not effective in reducing crime. It stays the same level generally. So the parents are like, all the parents are like, oh, we're gonna crack down on crime, we're gonna get more police. That doesn't help. If you want to reduce crime, you have to solve what causes the crime. You have to look into the etiology of the crime. Because when you, again, back to the recidivism thing, when you arrest somebody for something, yeah, they're out of the street for a little bit, but when they come back, they're probably going to do the same thing over again because they cannot find stable housing. So it's like, over policing and just a mass incarceration does not solve the issue. The issue is solved by looking at the root cause of crime, and for a lot of people, that is cumulative disadvantage and a broken mental health system.
Oh no, exactly.
So until we look into those
Uh,
two things, the crime issue in this country is not going to get solved. Nobody wants to say that, apparently, so I will.
no, nobody wants to say it because,
It's going to take a
like,
lot of work, and we're going to have to acknowledge that as a country, we are still
we are really
extremely
racist.
racist. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and nobody wants to take that
No,
accountability.
we
So,
don't. Like, yeah, black people are not enslaved anymore, but could we not argue that all the cumulative disadvantage and systemic failure that we make them face, could we not argue that that is a form of psychological torture? Could we not argue that? Like, we still put them through a hell of a lot of shit. So people say, oh, it's slavery, blah, blah, blah. Well, one, sundown towns still exist.
yeah, that too. That I don't know if we talked
There
about
are
that, but
still
yeah, no,
areas, like in the deep, deep south, that are white only. There's still white only churches. This stuff is still there. There are school districts in Alabama or it was in Alabama, Mississippi, something like that, down there, that did not like fully desegregate their schools until like 2016 or something like that. Like this stuff
that's
is
crazy.
still happening, and it is still happening. So yeah, we can't enslave them anymore. But can we not argue that we are still putting them through psychological slavery and psychological torture with everything that we put them through? Things are not much better. I know that we as white people, oh, slavery's happening worse, so it's everything's okay. No, it's not. These people are still greatly, greatly, greatly suffering.
Now that's why it makes me so angry when people are like, "Oh, why are black people complaining about they have all the rights?" No, no, they don't. Like, have you seen black people?
Literally,
Like, have you seen what they had to go through? Like, just look. Like, look with your eye. You have eyes that work. Please use them.
literally.
Also, Beck had a great point. He said, speaking of psychological torture, you should talk about the militarization of the police and how that makes minorities afraid for their lives. And that is an excellent point.
I think the biggest thing that
Um,
comes to mind here is ICE. Fuck ICE. 100% fuck ICE. I think it's disgusting. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and she was like, she was like, there is an immigration problem of illegal people entering this country, but I think that there should be a more humane way to do it. And I was like, okay, back up. Are there probably some people who are entering the country and committing crime? Yeah, sure, I'm sure there's people doing that. But I genuinely don't think that it is at a high enough of a rate that we need to be doing this. Even if it was, this wouldn't be like
this
so
would
there
not
was
be
a
okay.
statistic that I saw in a research thing, like a publication, where it said so it was a study done in I don't know what city, maybe Chicago or something like that, and it found that they looked at the delinquent behaviors of American children and immigrant children, and they found that the immigrant children were no more likely to commit violent crime or just delinquent behavior in general than the American children. So,
Which is honestly shocking considering what we put immigrants through.
right.
That's like really impressive that they're
And
persevering.
it's like, people say, oh, ICE is deporting. Okay, so they're deporting criminals. No, they're not. Tell me, if okay, so they're deporting criminals. Why is ICE going into schools? Why is ICE going into daycares? Why are they going into fucking children's birthday parties? Why are they raiding
They're going to
entire
churches. They're going into
they're
to
they're going into their
d-
businesses that they built off the ground in a country where they don't even speak the language, and they just go in there and they rip it apart. Like we are not, ICE is not targeting the criminals. They are targeting people from innocent families with wives and husbands and children who have to watch their parents get ripped away from them by guards who have no empathy, who are so cynical and conniving and repulsive and abhorrent and disgusting. Like, what are we doing? What are we?
mind you
There
also.
has to be
Oh,
a
sorry,
more humane way. Like, one, I argue that this problem is not actually a problem. It's just a racist thing against Hispanic people. I really don't think that there's an immigration issue. I'm sorry, I don't. Um, maybe I'm just uneducated. I don't know, but I'm really not seeing that there's an immigration problem. I think that with immigration, regardless of whether somebody comes here legally or not, the fact that like these people think of our from all over the world think of our country so highly that they want to come here and start a better life and leave everything behind, isn't that something that
They
they
risk
should?
everything to come here.
Isn't that something that that we should embrace rather than criminalize? That's my thought.
Exactly. Exactly. And also, I wanted to, and it's two main things. One, uh, they're not, these ICE people are not following any of the rules of policing. They're not giving warrants. They're not identifying themselves. They're wearing masks. They're doing all of this really shady stuff.
Modern day
Um,
Gestapo.
and what?
Modern day Gestapo.
No, literally, you said that much better than
It's
that
not
word much
Gestapo,
better
it's
than I could.
Gestapo, people. Get your German right.
But anyway, what was it? Oh yeah, and the second one. Also, you were. I fully agree with that. We don't have an immigration problem because I have heard dozens upon dozens of stories about ICE snatching people at the. I don't know what they're called, but
Immigration and Customs Office.
yeah, like people will go to the building to to do the stuff legally, like to do their paperwork, and they snatch them there.
Yeah,
Like they're doing what they're
it's
supposed to be
not about
doing.
coming here legally. It's that they are racist and they want this country to be all white. They're trying to get everybody else out. That's what they want. And it's starting with Hispanic people because they can rip them away from everything that they love and deport them to a country that some of them are not even from. All under the guise of, oh, we're reducing crime. No, you're not. You're just fucking racist and you're trying to create a white supremacist country. That's what you're doing.
And then also, so we were being a lot about ICE, but there's also other. So so within Washington D.C. Because Beck lives in Washington. I don't know if this is still happening still, but I know at some point Trump sent the National Guard into the city because apparently there's so much crime or whatever. So um, and that's like super unnecessary. Like we don't need like the National Guard has been for like nationally guarding or whatever. Like they're not meant to be a city police force. So there's that, and then they were like roaming around the city with like armored vehicles and tanks. So that's also another very important thing. Uh, and then also the militarization of just like our own police generally, even just local police, like they have like these enormous vehicles, and they have like uh, attack dogs and robots and like all this stuff like little like Bumpkinville in Mississippi or whatever does not need all of that stuff to protect their like 35 people like it's just crazy the amount of power that we give the police these days.
Literally, it is absolutely ridiculous. It's in a
Oh, can we talk about surveillance? Oh, sorry,
no, go
what?
ahead.
Can we talk about surveillance? Because apparently, so I saw an article recently. The New Orleans police apparently got caught having a bunch of cameras with AI tracking people.
Oh,
Also, the NYPD is being just super unsecretive about it. In subway stations now, they have these robots roaming around, just like with camera. Like I don't know if you anyone watching has been like into a giant grocery store. But if you ever been in there and seen the robot Marty that
he's
just
so
wanders around,
cute.
it's essentially that, but just like a police officer, but with the camera. And it's creepy, and it just films people. So that's it's very comforting, and by comforting I mean horrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
that's ew, gross. What is this
I know.
1984?
No, literally, like it's just like so. Not only are the police like super over weaponized, but they also get to track us. No, that's crazy.
Yeah, this is like literally some 1984 bullshit. Big Brother's watching you. Like, ugh.
I've never actually read that book,
It's
so I
really fucking
don't.
creepy, and it's getting more and more like what our society is now.
Oh, that's
It's a
really
very,
horrifying.
very, and it's the kind of book that you get entranced into, but like not for a good. Like it's so scary you have to keep reading it. Like it's very creepy.
Interesting.
Should we do
Yeah.
one more topic and then wrap it up? We're at 40 minutes.
Okay. I don't know what else should we do. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Um, do you have any
Nope.
ideas?
I did not expect to cover the whole list that I had in my notes in 10 minutes, but I did.
Sorry, I probably should have like added something in, I guess.
No, it's not your fault. I made the list.
Oh, sorry. Yes, okay, I don't know if we've addressed this before, but the lack of empathy crisis, that's a big thing that's going
Ooh.
on.
Yeah.
And that links well into the thing we just talked about ICE, because like people are literally being snatched off the streets and nobody seems to care. So there's that
There's an
right out the
empathy
gate.
crisis, there's a lack of critical thinking crisis, there's an anti intellectualism crisis, there's a literacy crisis, there's an economic crisis, there's a racism crisis. There's a lot of
It's in
crises.
everything. No, but like Uh, the, yeah, no, anti-intellectualism is a big thing that's happening right now, and this links into the lack of empathy because, like, if you can't think, you can't feel the empathy. Um, that also links into the thing we talked about anti-Semitism and the Free Palestine movement in our last episode. Um, like it's just like all around. This is like a big thing that's and I think we've been like just so desensitized to absolutely terrible horrendous things happening uh that like people have kind of just stopped caring, which is really bad, like extremely
Our
awful.
brains naturally desensitize us to things that are hard to look at, and so it is easier to not care than to care. Caring takes effort, and a lot of people don't want to put that effort in for various reasons. So you see these horrible things happening, and people just don't care, and it's like it is because it is exhausting to care. It's not an excuse, but it's like it's a reason, and I think critical thinking builds empathy, and perhaps the other way around too. They kind of interweave within each other, because when you learn how to critically think, you learn about all these things that are happening to all these people, and then that can kind of build empathy. But then you have empathy, then you can perhaps become curious about what these people go through, and you want to learn a bit more about their experiences, and that leads to critical thinking. So like they can cause each other, and they do cause each other, and that's why if I was president, I would make it a federal law that we need to have mandatory courses K through 12 about empathy and critical thinking. Just saying. Because
I did
Denmark
not
does
know
it.
that
Denmark has a course about empathy, and it works very well.
they do. Tell me, Denmark,
Of
of
course,
course, some
Denmark
like
does.
Nordic
Denmark,
Scandinavian country, of
Sweden,
course.
Finland, Norway, they all know it. And by the way, those countries are mostly led by women, by the way. Wink, wink, which means we need more women in power. Wink, wink. Take notes,
Yeah,
everybody else.
no, literally, all of them are just like winning at countrying.
Countrying?
like
Countrying?
they're goaded. Like they're just doing everything right. What? Oh. What do you think? Speaking of anti-intellectualism, you should address the failures of the school system going on right now because I absolutely. Oh yeah, okay, that's a great topic because yeah, no, so that that's a big thing that's happening. Like I that kind of just like it's what you were just saying because like so not only like do we not have like courses that help you figure out how to do empathy, but also we have a culture of just like so for one thing teachers are horrifically underpaid, like criminally so. Um, but anyway, aside from that, teachers are also basically just like forced to pass people through, even when they are miserably failing. Um, and like that is not good. Like we need to normalize
Holding
like
people
holding people
accountable.
back, or like yeah, no, because like like it's gotten to a point where people are like genuinely failing their classes, and the teachers are just like being forced to push them through, and like that's not helping anybody. That's just like momentarily satisfying the person, and dumping a completely unprepared person into the real world,
And I'd
and
like to
that
point
that
out that
leads
these
to.
kinds of things, especially when it's a privileged child, can lead to white collar crime in the future. Because they learn very early on that all they have to do is cheat and they'll get away with it. And that is how white collar crime occurs. They
Yeah,
learn that
exactly, exactly.
deceitfulness is
No,
the key to success, which can lead to a whole plethora of things in that area. And also,
absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great point. This is
I'd like to
very.
point out, are teachers underpaid? Yeah. We have the money to pay them. ICE gets what? 100K? And then they get like 40K bonuses or some fucking shit?
I
We
know it's
have the
crazy.
money, but we're not using it in the right place. I think if we,
Also, we spent like a bajillion
oh
on
yeah,
military.
I think if we spent more money on, teachers and nurses and therapists and social workers and blah blah, I think we would have a lot better of a society, don't you think? Just putting it out there. I'd also like to point out the fact that, in addition to teachers being forced to pass kids through, they're often very much abused by both admin and the children, the kids. I know teachers who specifically been through this. I know a teacher who was almost pushed to the point of suicide due to such abuse. Um, and teachers often have to, because they are not financially supported, buy their own things for the classroom, which puts more financial strain on them. So teachers have it very, very rough. They're not paid enough. They have to buy their own shit. They're treated like shit by admin and the kids. Everything that they do is wrong, no matter damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's not a fucking shock that we have a teacher shortage. Because imagine if you went to work every day and you got screamed at and called horrible things and had to spend money on those people who are calling you horrible things all day, every day in, day out, year after year, for shitty pay, you'd quit too. It's a completely understandable situation. We need to do
Even
better.
for good pay, you couldn't get me to
Right.
do that. Like, like, who, like, what? Who in their right mind would put up with that for years and years? That just sounds like hell. That, and we need to like normalize parents like actually punishing their kids because you said like how they receive abuse from admin and stuff. Parents are also a great source of not great like a massive source of abuse towards the teachers. Like they like if the teachers grade something low, the parents will like storm into school and like scream at them and it's just insane. Like the stuff, and then the admin will just like okay, just like pass them. Like no, no, they failed the thing. Like let them fail. A lot of times, failure is like a way to like as long as you're not just like oh yeah you fail and then nothing else. Like as long as you like give them a way like you failed and like you did like X, Y, and Z wrong. Like that's a great way to show them like one mistakes are okay and two like actually how to do the thing that they didn't do right like if you do this right then like it can work but if you're just forced to give them a good grade nobody learns anything and everyone just feels
Right.
awful.
That's very true. We need to normalize holding children accountable.
Also can we address how misbehaving students and burnt out teachers affect people like me who like actually enjoyed school and wanted to learn. Well, I didn't enjoy school because like bullying and ostracism, but like I liked learning. Um, and so like when kids are like that out of control, that affects the mental health of people like me who actually cared. Um, it like so I had to go. So technically, I had an accommodation where I went to like a different room. The technical reason was like a distraction-free environment, but the real reason that I mean, like, and I did like the distraction-free environment, but like the main reason that I used this combination was because everybody tried to cheat off of me, and it got so on my nerves. And so like I literally had to isolate myself just so people wouldn't use
Right.
me like that. Like if that gives you any idea of how bad this is. And so then also burnt out teachers. So like when the teachers are like so horrendously abused by the other kids, they can't like give that adequate attention to like the people who actually want to learn because they're so out of it because they've been through so much already.
100%. I do want to wrap it up now because I
It,
have to go get food.
oh, oops, sorry. And also it's been like now.
All
Okay.
right. That's the end of this episode. At the end of this episode,
Oh,
we'll
sorry. Yeah, no, this was kind
yeah,
of wrong.
we'll
But
we'll be
what?
back whenever, probably next week or something.
Thank you for like the three people who viewed the last video. I hope you view this one
Yes.
too. Thank you. Have a nice
Bye
day.
bye.